The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got a guest on the show today. I tell you, he's my mentor, by the way. I just want to say that. And he's doing so many great things and helping so many folks out. And, you know, and one of the things that I like about this guest is the book is called The Link Is What You Think. You know, and anybody after the show or during the show, if once you get a chance to meet this young man, what I call him, you need to go out there and buy that book because it's going to help you out with a whole lot of things that we are going to talk about today. You know, but I can't do anything without bringing in the executive producer and co-host. How you doing, Dr. Michelle Cooley?
I'm doing great. How are you? I
am doing wonderful. I am so excited about this guest that we got on today. And I tell you, it taught us so many things and doing so many great things. And I'm excited to talk about this topic that you're getting ready to introduce today. And But before we do that, whichever platform that you're watching us on, whether it's E360 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, over 85 other platforms, including the radio AM 1170 The Answer, AM 660 The Answer, AM 1170 The Answer in San Diego, AM 660 The Answer in Dallas. Welcome to the show. And if you want to join in on the conversation, go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you will get your answer. Michelle, I can't take it no more. Can you please introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and this absolutely magnificent guest?
Yes. Well, the title of today's show is called Mental Health Issues Reaching Critical Levels. And we're having a sit-down conversation with Dr. Michael Mantell. He's a mental health professional, rational emotive behavior coach, cognitive behavior coach, and author. We're going to discuss rising mental health crisis in the United States, youth at high risk, yet unfunded, workplace mental health struggles, and a call for urgent action. As a seasoned mental health professional, Dr. Mantell specializes in rational emotive behavior coaching and cognitive behavioral coaching to help individuals break free from self-defeating patterns and build resilient, thriving, autonomous mindsets. With decades of professional experience following his MS degree from Hahnemann Medical College and his PhD from the University of Pennsylvania, including roles as chief psychologist for the San Diego Police Department and Children's Hospital of San Diego, senior consultant for behavioral sciences with the American Council on Exercise, and assistant clinical professor at UCSD Medical School, and decades-long membership in SAG-AFTRA, he is dedicating his career to bridging the gap between theory and real-world mental well-being. His main focus is helping people disturb themselves less. He's a prolific author with 4 books to his name, including his recent work, The Link is What You Think, Ticking Bombs, Defusing Violence in the Workplace, and his iconic 1988 original, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, P.S. It's All Small Stuff, and its 25th anniversary edition. Recently, he's an invited presenter for Harvard University's course, The Art and Science of Empowering People to Change. And you can follow him daily. Mantell Points to Ponder on LinkedIn and Facebook. Please welcome Dr. Michael Mantell.
How you doing, Doc? How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. And my goodness, I mean, like, I'm usually sitting right next to you, ready to interview someone. And here I am being the interviewed person. So changes the feeling a little bit.
Kind of change the dynamic a little bit, but it's still the same because it's going to be a discussion. So we are interviewing each other because you're educating our public, our viewers, and our listeners on this extremely important topic. And it's not just United States, it's the world.
Yeah.
It's the world. So what we're talking about today, just in case you all just tuning in, we're talking about mental health issues reaching critical levels. And in the United States, I can only say how I feel. Over the last couple of months, it's a lot of people going to need some help if we continue to go in this direction, that we're going in. And I think many of you all know what I'm talking about, but Dr. Mike, what are the most significant factors contributing to the rise in anxiety and depression worldwide?
Well, I'll tell you that, number one, let's just define what we mean by mental illness. It's a medical condition that disrupts a person's thinking, feeling, mood, their daily functioning, their ability to relate to others, to work, to have relationships. And it doesn't develop because of someone's character necessarily or intelligence. It's difficult to cope with the ordinary demands of life. And no one is to blame, not the person, not the family. There are no blood tests. There's no tissue samples that can definitively diagnose a mental illness. The diagnoses are based on observations from a trained mental health professional. And we look at the behaviors of people. I'll talk about that in a moment. But, the fact of the matter is that a number of years ago, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychiatric Association had about 100 different diagnoses. In 5 iterations over a long period of time, we now have over 300 diagnoses of mental disorders. That's remarkable. That's just simply remarkable. So when we talk about what is it that's what drives anxiety and depression worldwide, let's look at chronic stress and uncertainty. You mentioned we don't know what's going on in this world. Economic instability, political unrest. Just look at what's happening in our country and relating to other countries. Global crises. This creates a persistent feeling of insecurity. That's number one. Then we have social isolation, increased screen time, and decreased face to face interaction. I was recently giving a talk at a major university, and the head of the program said, "It's so good to see you in person, Dr. Mantell." But I wasn't in person, I was Zoom. This has become the new in person. Then we have information overload. We are constantly on the phone and here and there, getting social media comparing us to all kinds of things, negative news, lifestyle changes. What about the fact that we have poor sleep, sedentary habits, unhealthy diets? That doesn't help us. We have unrealistic expectations. We have cultural and we have societal pressures for success, perfection. The other day we had Dr. Michael Hirsch on talking about how doctors demand perfection of themselves and how that leads to emotional burnout. And then we have demands for productivity, and that increases self-doubt and stress. So when we think about all these things, it's not one thing. It's a blend, a braiding of all of these things that seem to lead to this difficulty.
Wow. You know, United States, only thing that we can speak for, and we know that there are record amounts of suicide rates and other things. Mental health just constantly increases every day. What are some of the steps, Dr. Mike, that we can do? I mean, to help lower this and get people back on the right track and get them focused.
We talk about life and death. That's what this particular concern is about mental health. Not everyone who has a mental distress is suicidal. And not everyone who is suicidal necessarily has a mental illness. That's important to understand. Record high suicide rates in the United States stem from rising loneliness, from economic stress, from mental health stigma, and limited access to care. The stigma, the shame, the pride that holds people back from saying, "I need help," is what kills people. So, social disconnection, substance abuse, firearm access, these play major roles. So, what can we do? We need to expand our mental health services. We have to strengthen community support. It's not just an individual. We live in communities. We need to be connected, whether it's a faith-based community or your neighborhood or social group. But people who are connected have likely less suicidal thinking. Stigma kills. They're going to think this. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. Promoting responsible media reporting about suicide and ensuring crisis support. If you suspect someone is having suicidal thinking, what we call suicidal ideation, please call 988. Say it again, 988. It's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. They will pick up and you'll talk to someone immediately.
Wow. Hey, Dr. Mike, we're going to take a station break, but I want to get back and I want to continue this conversation because it's needed and there's a lot of people are feeling certain ways around the world, around the country, and we're going to educate them today. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching this on, ask any questions that you might have, and I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. And I kind of got carried away with that dog. I mean, that music had me bouncing around in here, So, hey, what if you're just tuning in? What we're talking about today is mental health issues reaching critical levels. And Dr. Michael Mantell is one of the best in the business, psychologist. And I tell you, one of the things that you can get a lot of resources out of is his book. The link is what you think. He got several books out there, but I mean, everything that contributes to how we react and do things is how we think. Sometimes we don't put any thought into it. We're just concerned about the surrounding things that are happening around us. And we make bad decisions and we do things that put us in a bind. But it's always people out there that can help, like Dr. Michael Mantell here, one of the world-renowned psychiatrists. And we're going to get back to this conversation that we was talking about, because we got so many things that we're going to talk about. But we're going to get back to this one. Dr. Mike, we were talking about the suicide rate. We were talking about mental health issues. We're talking about some of the things and steps that we could do to help alleviate some of those things. Can you pick it up with that?
Sure, you bet. I mean, there's a disparity that we have in mental health funding, particularly for youth, for children. And this limits being able to intervene at the earliest levels. I am a very strong advocate for bringing psychological health services into the schools. I want kids to learn from kindergarten on how to think better, to not upset themselves over what's going on around them. And I've shared this each week in our 360-degree health show, but 3 thoughts we have to help children learn. Number 1, life doesn't have to be a certain way. We don't have to get our way. People must not treat us a certain. It'd be great if they did, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because if we believe rigidly and inflexibly that way, then the next thought we have is, it's horrible that it's not going the way I demand. It's terrible that she said that about me. And boy, does that turn kids upside down. And the last is, I can't stand it. I can't tolerate it. We heard from a doctor yesterday on our show He said he was about to give up practice. He said, Dr. Mantell, you named it. I was telling myself I can't stand this anymore. But obviously he could. So I think that funding, particularly to bring mental health professionals into the schools to teach children early on how to think better, without adequate support, mental health issues will worsen over time. And we have an increased risk of chronic conditions, academic struggles, economic burdens. Investing in kids' mental health strengthens long-term well-being and resilience. I call it pro-silience, not resilience going forward. Let's prevent, not treat.
I totally 100% agree with you. If we did have funding in the schools, I'm talking about at all levels, even college, that talked about these things, that talked about issues, that talked about how to cope with certain things without letting stress just overtake you. And
let me give you another example. I was a chief psychologist at Children's Hospital here many, many years ago in the 70s in San Diego. One day I got the idea, how can we prevent? So I started going on the air on different radio, TV shows once a week, talking about mental health prevention. The San Diego Police Department got hold of me and they said, hey, can you come and create a program for us to prevent problems? We started teaching police officers ahead of time how to deal with and prevent stress. And then we started taking care of them after the fact. So I want to spend more time preventing, putting up fences to prevent people from falling over the hill and then spending millions with ambulances at the bottom of the hill. That makes sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. So we talked about and anxiety a little bit. First of all, I want to correct something. I know you're retired, but you never retired, Doc.
Retired psychologist. That's right.
Your life.
I agree with you.
So with depression and anxiety leading to the loss of 12 billion workday annually, and how, $12 billion, that's a lot. How can companies better support their employees and get them more opportunities, more help to express what they're thinking and to also understand some of the issues that they might have?
Well, lots of things that companies can do and are doing. Companies can better support their employees' mental well-being by creating a culture of openness, reducing stigma about mental health. When I began the San Diego the Psychological Services Program for the San Diego Police Department way back 1979, 1980, we thought maybe like 1 or 2% of the cops would come and overcome stigma. Well, we did a lot of preliminary work, ride-alongs, helping break down the stigma. And the first year, more than 10%, and that grew significantly over a decade. But we need to reduce stigma, and this includes offering flexible work options, providing access to mental health resources, implementing wellness programs, and encouraging work-life balance, training leaders to recognize the early warning signs of emotional distress, which I'll go through with you if you'd like, and fostering a supportive environment are also crucial steps that companies can take in promoting emotional well-being in the workplace.
You mentioned work-life balance. That's so important because a lot of people don't understand that. In order for you to be balanced completely, I believe you have to be mentally, physically, spiritually balanced. And in the environment that you are in, my workplace, the environment of how the workplace works, so can you talk about some of those steps?
Yeah. First of all, this idea of work-life balance is baloney. Baloney? What do you mean? It's baloney. There's no such thing as work-life balance. We don't balance. We do as well as we can in our work life, we do as well as we can in our personal home life. I try to elevate myself in each of these areas, not striving for balance. It's a nice concept that came up in the 70s and people glommed onto it, but it's not real. The blurring of work life boundaries due to remote work and technology has led to all kinds of mental distress by making it harder for employees to disconnect. So they're spending so much effort in work life, they don't give a lot of effort in their personal life. Constant connectivity through emails and messages and video calls can lead to always being on, and that's not healthy because it doesn't lead to opportunities to enjoy home life. Companies and individuals need to set boundaries, prioritize breaks, real breaks, and encourage dedicated time for rest, time off, and personal activities to safeguard mental health.
Doc, you had mentioned earlier there's over 300, I think, mental health conditions that are out there. How can families, communities, doctors, individuals identify when there is a potential that they might be having potential mental health issues and really not know in their mind?
Well, again, you can, for crisis concerns, call 988. It's confidential. You'll be protected. You'll get immediate response. It doesn't cost anything. However, I want to just go through the fact that when you try to tell the difference between a normal response to distress and adversity and challenge versus what's called a mental illness, it's not easy. Every illness has its own symptoms. We're not going to create diagnosticians here, but common signs of mental disturbance in adults and adolescents includes excessive worrying or fear, feeling very low, excessively low, confused thinking or problems concentrating or difficulty learning. What about mood changes, including uncontrollable highs or these feelings of euphoria? What about irritability and anger, even rage? Avoiding friends or social activities. I can't understand or relate to other people. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I'm just laying around the house. My sex drive has changed. The fact is that some people have difficulty perceiving reality. They think something's going on and it's not. They can't even identify their own feelings. These are some of the key signs of trouble brewing. And then you have to know how to address it with somebody in a sensitive and respectful way.
So how can leaders, managers learn to recognize what you just said? Because in organization, primarily, it's all about the bottom line, the dollar, the profits that are being made, and they don't understand. I mean, in many cases, that the people that are working for them that have challenges and need help, but many companies don't want to spend the money to provide that, and then they have turnover rates that is ridiculous. Can you talk about that a little bit? We got about 2 minutes.
Manager can absolutely be trained. I work with many organizations and have for a long time in doing this very thing. And the way I break it down is we, first of all, teach leaders, managers, supervisors in HR and outside of HR, on the production line, people who drive delivery trucks and so forth, educate them on the common mental health issues such as we're discussing today. What are the symptoms? What should you look for? How do they show up in the workplace? Then we teach them how to develop empathy and communication skills. It's pretty sad when AI, generative AI, can sound more compassionate than a human being. So we teach how to approach sensitive conversations with care and sensitivity and respect and offer support. Not confrontation, but what we call care-frontation. Promote a supportive culture. Make sure that you are encouraging employees to be open and get rid of stigma. Get rid of it. Ensure employees feel comfortable asking for help in a confidential, protective way. Make sure there's resources. Managers have to have the knowledge of where to go for help, and such as an employee assistance program, perhaps. And then encourage managers to check in regularly, to take the emotional pulse of their employees. If you're not sure, ask to speak to someone offline and tell them what you're observing and the concern you have, and that help is available.
You know, I tell you just mentioned employee assistance programs. I think it's so major to have that in there and, have different avenues. Now, I tell you, we're going to take a station break, but when we're going to come back, I want to pick up that right there because I think it's so important. Wherever you're watching us on, whichever platforms, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. All right.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And in case you're just not tuning in, what we're talking about is mental health issues reaching critical levels. And it's, as you know, the great Dr. Mike just mentioned that mental health, there have been over 300 different diagnoses of certain mental health that's been pointed out in our country, probably worldwide. And education and understanding what it means, what mental health means, and how to cope with it. And certain things if family members are having problems. I think you had mentioned, I know 911 and you mentioned 988. Can you mention that one more time?
Absolutely. 988 is a great line to call for suicide concerns or just general crisis hotline. I need to talk to someone right now. Do you know how the health system is? You call to make an appointment, you get an answering service. I'll call you back tomorrow. The appointment I have is 3 weeks from now. That's not the way. I don't practice that way. When someone calls and they need help, I am the hotline for that individual. I tell people you can text me anytime. I will respond ASAP. Obviously, I can't respond now if someone's texting me, but as soon as the show is over, I know I have three actually well, 3 calls that need to be made. We'll text right back. So people who are home a lot because of remote work have this tremendous sense of loneliness, and we need to be able to connect as soon as possible. So call 988-911 if you need someone at your home right away.
You know, Doc, we left off. We're talking about an organization and companies. We talked about the EAP assistance, employee assistance program. Um, you mentioned also if you are at home remote, and you might not always have those resources. If you was in, a brick and mortar building or something like that. Can you talk about that a little bit more about
Absolutely. EAPs, the Employee Assistance Program, was a big thing many years ago. And we thought, wow, this is the answer to all the concerns with extending human resources and so forth. That can be very valuable, and it is. However, it needs to evolve, like so many things, to meet the changing needs of a modern workforce. Traditional EAPs lack integration with other wellness initiatives that employers are bringing in and may not address the full spectrum of mental health challenges. So new approaches have to be more proactive. Don't wait. Go out and knock on the door. Mental health education, ongoing wellness programs, personalized care plans, using technology, the watch, the phone, apps, and so forth. Making resources more accessible is what I'm talking about. So people don't have to go to you, you come to it. And we're going to see this happen with generative AI. The watch is going to hear my voice, it's going to hear the words I use, and it's going to knock on my door, so to speak. This is what we can do to ensure that leadership and employee assistance programs at work get more actively engaged. I think it's important because we don't realize how loneliness at home is a killer. I just read a study. In fact, let me pull up the actual data here. I'm going to read my notes that I got. This just 5 minutes before we went on the air. I just read it. American Psychiatric Association. According to the poll, men and women and older and younger adults are using different strategies to deal with feelings of loneliness. Younger adults are more likely to feel lonely than older adults. 43% of young adults 18 to 34 feel lonely at least once a week, compared to only 17% of adults 65 and older. And so that's pretty impressive when you think about that. And the workplace is an arena that if you're not going to brick and mortar, it's hard to feel connection.
Wow. So you just mentioned the 45% as relate to mental health with our young adults. And the burden. How do we take a lot of the burden off our youth, our children, our loved ones, to get them, if it's not being represented in their schools and they don't have folks there, what can parents and others do to make sure that their kids understand that, first of all, childhood, as we develop, as we get these emotions and we start, going through hormone changes, and then a lot want to, react but that just changes. And what can parents and leaders in communities and schools do to educate our youth and young adults that means, but you have to be open and you have to talk about these things?
Right, exactly. It's a great question. It's a reason it's a great question is because you framed it as a community concern. So my neighbor in that house next door has a child. I mean, it's literally, but has a child who may have some issues. But we are a community. Let's move away from the individual and look at how a community can wrap itself around helping each other. So parents and educators and other professionals can better support kids and adolescents struggling with anxiety, depression, anger, first by creating open communication, something you just mentioned. That means, number one, how do we encourage honest conversations? Parents and educators may need to learn how to do that without telling kids, but asking. Ask more, tell less. Provide a safe, supportive environment that fosters a stable, understanding atmosphere where kids feel safe to express themselves and all kinds of divergent opinions and views. They're not going to be criticized for it. Let's teach coping skills, as I said early on when we began this 360-degree health broadcast today. Make sure we're teaching kids at the earliest stages to think with flexibility, with acceptance, and not making things that are just pains in the neck into catastrophes, things we don't like into things that are unbearable. Let's be role models. Demonstrate emotional regulation, stress management, and self-care practices. These things really help. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to reach out for professional help. If you have a crisis, call that 988 hotline. And then promote a lifestyle that is strong in all arenas, whether it's physical, nutrition, sleep, faith. A research study came out this week, and today's only Wednesday, so it just happened a couple of days ago, that people who live with a religious lifestyle tend to have less emotional disturbance than those who don't. And they distinguished, in fact, this was just discussed on Dr. Radio, very famous radio station out of New York, NYU Langone Medical Center. Not spirituality, but religion. Not like, oh, I just like to do this and do that, but a formalized religion, have fewer mental health concerns. Collaborating between parents and educators and mental health professionals, I believe, is ultimately the key to helping kids thrive today.
Dr. Mike, social media, in many cases, plays a major role in what we think. And I mean, I'm talking about a lot of people get caught up in that. And in AI, coming and evolving like it is with social media, I think a lot of it is a brainwash tactic. Just
well said.
It's a brainwash tactics. And parents, a lot of times, they don't want to parent. They want to put a computer or whatever in front of the kids. And that kid or young adults, or not just a kid, it could be grown, their thoughts, their process, their mental aptitude, or everything that they is based on social media and other things. We got about 2 minutes before the break. Can you address that question?
Absolutely. I mean, loneliness in part is magnified because kids spend so much time on their devices. And kids will say, yeah, I saw a friend of mine. No, you didn't. You didn't see him. You were playing a game and he lives in Wyoming and you live in Alaska. There's no connection here. Well, there is a connection newly defined by this current generation, but social comparison through digital platforms worsens self-esteem, worsens mental health. It promotes unrealistic standards of beauty, of success, and happiness. And so constant exposure to these idealized portrayals of life and the way other people are living it, that's not healthy. And these comparisons in social media ignore the complexities and the struggles that people have had behind the scenes. So individuals have to be encouraged to limit time on social media, curate their feeds with positive content, and focus on self-compassion rather than external validation.
Wow. I'm going to say this, and Dr. Mike, I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation. I think we need to do this more often.
Okay.
I know we got 360-degree health, but wow, putting you on the other side of the camera.
A hot seat. Well, I'm gonna have new respect next week when we interview our guests next week.
You know, I tell you what, we're having an absolutely fantastic conversation with Dr. Michael Mantell, and I call him my mentor because I have learned so much from him. And on guy, tell it like it is. And I tell you, what we're talking about today is mental health issues reaching critical levels. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, Dr. Mike. We're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. We're going to bring Dr. Michelle Cooley in on the conversation. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching this on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
Listen up. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Hey.
Heaven abounds in you, enlightens, uplifts, inspires, and invites you to live a life that's engaged, joyous, and limitless, the sweet spot of life. Take this journey in oneness. We are and have all that God, the infinite creative source of the universe, is. You are infinite potentiality, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. Heaven abounds in you.
At Viridian Christian University, we believe education is more than just a degree. It's a pathway to a purpose-driven life. Whether you're advancing your career, pursuing a passion, or building a new future, VCU's 100% online programs give you the flexibility to learn on your terms, anywhere, anytime. With expert faculty, personalized mentorship, and a faith-centered approach, you'll gain the skills, knowledge, and leadership you need to make a lasting impact. VCU offers bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, each designed to empower you for success in today's fast-changing world. Join a global community of believers, learners, and leaders. Ready to start your journey? Viridian Christian University. Transforming lives, empowering futures. Visit us at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. That's ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and it's an absolute pleasure interviewing Dr. Mike. He and I, we host a show every Wednesday, 360-degree health. If you think you're getting some knowledge right here from this one, you're getting double the knowledge because he always have the world's best guests, in my opinion, on the show. And Dr. Mike, I truly believe that we need to do this a little bit more often, where I got you on the hot seat over there.
I have an idea, Michelle.
Yes.
Find a way to get JC on the hot seat.
I like that. I like that.
You can count on me being a guest at any time. I love educating, and I hope it comes through. I just was looking at my phone at the break because we're always connected, and it's blowing up with people who are listening saying, "Hey, this is great. This is great." So this is terrific.
I'm looking at the numbers, Doc. I don't know if you can see the numbers on your screen, but it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. You know, Doc,
this is a topic that people really need help with, and we need to break through this barrier that I have shame and I feel vulnerable and all these things. Let's get rid of that and just make it okay to talk about it.
Well, so if you're just tuning in, and I know I'm seeing the numbers keep going up. What we're talking about is mental health issues reaching critical levels, and we got the esteemed Dr. Michael Mantell here, and he and I host a show every Wednesday called 360-Degree Health. We want everybody to tune in. We're always looking for great guests to come on the show, and I tell you what, we're gonna get back because we only got 10 minutes left in the show. I wish we had more. We're gonna get back. We're gonna let Dr. Michelle Cooley pick it up from here.
Yes, Dr. Mantell, it seems that when there's issues, when it comes to mental health, medication, or, traditional therapy methods are used. But what are your thoughts about preventive health when it comes to the mental health crisis, especially with our youth?
That is number one. Why put an ambulance at the bottom of the hill and spend millions and millions of dollars when for a couple of $1,000 you can build a fence on top of the hill? That's prevention. Traditional therapy, medications, lots of questions about the effectiveness of medication today, the impact, the negative impact it can have, whether we really understand what they're all about. Joanna Moncrief, who I'd love to be able to get on as a guest. She's a British psychiatrist. She writes a lot about this. But the point is that while these approaches are important and do help, let me say that again, traditional therapy and medication do help, but they're often reactive, not proactive. So to effectively address mental health issues, there's a growing need to focus on prevention. This includes integrating mental health services in schools, in work, in the media. We need to bring this to media throughout all the news and so forth and so on. This includes, as I say, promoting emotional resilience and promoting what I call emotional prosilience, proactively, ahead of time. Focus on prevention, coping skills, fostering strong community relations, religious organizations. Let's reduce the prevalence of mental health challenges amongst children and adolescents and even adults, of course, to improve long-term well-being.
Wow. You comment, when we see your social media comments, and I'm sure it's in your books as well, how people disturb themselves unnecessarily. So what are the common ways that people do disturb themselves unnecessarily?
I call myself a mental health architect. I was a psychologist for 50 years, and I realized let's get away from that sort of negative stimulation, the negative stigma, I should say, and let's talk about mental health. And so I like to focus on helping people disturb themselves less. So how can we do that? Number one, help people not catastrophize. Imagining the worst case scenario, but as you know, Amy Scruggs, great singer, she has a song, What If It All Works Out? What if it all works out? How about overthinking, ruminating on past mistakes, or worrying excessively, living life through the rearview mirror? Perfectionism, demanding I must be perfect or I'm worthless. That's not true. People pleasing. I sacrifice my own health to satisfy someone else. They define me. Not true. Negative self-talk. That's a killer. People talk against themselves constantly. They talk themselves out of moving forward. The kid in the class who won't raise his hand because he's afraid, I'm going to get it wrong. People are going to laugh. They're going to hate me. And I'm no good. I'll be worthless. And then the other kid raises his hand and gives the answer that he was just about to give, but he talked himself out of it. So these are ways that people disturb themselves, procrastinating and so forth. And by learning that the link is what you think, that's the place you can change and grow. We can help people stubbornly refuse to disturb themselves.
You mentioned self-talk, and Self-talk is so important because not only you can talk yourself out of something, you can talk yourself into a deeper sense of depression and paranoid thoughts, or it just may go further than that. So what is your thoughts on, I mean, we don't want negative self-talk, but how do we get people to start talking to themselves more kindly and more gentler?
There's 3 steps that I teach in the work I do. 1, it is catch your thoughts. 2, challenge your thoughts. And 3, change them. Here's a killer. People say to me, "Oh, I got so angry. I got so depressed. He made me feel so badly. She really made me upset." Stop. When you hear yourself saying, "It got me, it made me," stop, catch that, and talk yourself out of that. Nothing else but your own thoughts about a situation make you create a feeling in you. So recognize what I call these cognitive distortions. Reframe your thinking. Actively replace these negative thoughts, exaggerated thoughts, with more balanced, realistic, rational thoughts. Practice some mindfulness. The space between a stimulus and the response, that space is where the power lies. So take a moment and just think for a moment. What am I telling myself that's making me feel bad? Here's the ultimate question that I want to be sure I leave everyone with. What am I thinking that's making me feel this way? I'm not liking the way I feel. What am I thinking that's making me feel this way? When you ask that, you are empowering yourself. And nothing is more important than having emotional freedom and autonomy to go forward healthily.
Wow, Dr. Mike, we're down to the last 2 minutes of the show. 1 minute or less. Can you provide our listeners and our viewers 3 takeaways from this absolutely fantastic conversation?
You bet. Number 1, understand that mental health doesn't necessarily, it doesn't happen to you. It's something we create. How? By the way we think about things. The link is what you think. And so particularly move away from rigid, inflexible catastrophes and believing that life is unbearable, and replace it with, I don't like it. I prefer it to be different. It's not terrible. It's just unfortunately bad, but I can bear it. When you think with more flexibility, you will become more emotionally healthy.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Mike, for taking the time to come on the show. And I think that we might need to do this at least once. I'm talking about with you on the hot seat, and you can always put me on the hot seat whenever you want to. But this was fantastic. Now, the link is what you think. Go out. What can they get your book, Doc?
Anywhere. Amazon has it. Barnes and Noble. It's all over. But I encourage people to follow me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook. And every day except for Saturdays, I put 5 points of healthier living, emotional living. It's there for you. It's free, no charge. Just take it.
Dr. Mike, thank you.
I read those points. It's amazing.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. We're going to have to do this more often. Everybody tune in till Wednesdays, 306 Degree Health. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in to us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.